Hello there. Hello there.
At last, where have you been?
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Master Skywalker, there are too many of them. What are we going to do?
This is where the fun begins.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Jedi Eternal. I am one of your hosts, Andrew Bolin, alongside the worst Knights of the Old Republic player you will ever witness,
That's
Braxton
not true.
Taylor.
It's not true. I'm not the worst. I'm not the greatest, but I'm not the worst.
Oh, boy. Well, if you have not been joining us for our Let's Plays...
1v1 in Rust right now.
in Rust?
Yeah.
I've never played that.
I'm saying like the map Rust from Modern Warfare 2. Good. See, you can
see.
be good at KOTOR you
thought you were
want.
talking
You're not a
about-
good video
I thought you were
gamer.
talking about the hit MMO
No.
Rust.
No, we're not talking about that.
Okay. Well, I'm not an ancient COD player, okay? Actually, I've been playing it for a long time, but I barely remember that. Actually, that's the map that they brought back.
Yes,
for...
it's in the new Modern Warfare. Yes,
Yeah,
it's in
okay.
there.
No,
Yeah.
I do remember that now. Anyways, this is not the Call of Duty podcast. This is Star Wars. But there's been a lot of things going around lately that don't involve Star Wars. As a lot of you know, we had a massive disappointment with the Disney Plus day. For all you Star Wars fans out there, it was less than stellar.
Yeah.
And all of everything claimed, right? Like all the sources claimed we were getting stuff.
Yeah.
And and a lot of them are claiming it was a last minute thing that we didn't get much information out of that, but for whatever reason, we didn't. It's not there. We didn't get much anything, but the MCU got a lot of stuff. Then the Spider-Man trailer came out, which was pretty cool. So it's one of those times where I wish we were we had like an MCU podcast.
We just had like a general podcast where we just talk about anything.
Yeah, and
we
like
have a lot to talk about.
And maybe we should, if you're ever interested in us having every once in a while like an one-off episode that's
like once a month we could do like a random episode about whatever
we could
topic.
talk about like just any video game or any movie or whatever. If you're interested in that, let us know. Put it in the comments. And it might be something we might entertain if there's people that want to hear it. But I mean,
if it's just JB and Alex, then probably not.
Yeah.
We'll just have like a FaceTime with you guys.
We'll just FaceTime, But that the Spider-Man trailer, man, that was fantastic.
That was great.
I wish we would have seen some kind of Star Wars trailer to talk about to that extreme.
Well, I was gonna say, and that's what I mean. I was gonna do like a recap post of all the things after Disney Plus Day, and like there was just nothing. I mean, basically, I mean, if you wanted to see anything, it was on that post that we originally made that Drew was updating. But yeah, I mean, like there was nothing to really recap.
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah,
a whole lot.
really
wasn't a whole lot to discuss, unfortunately. The one thing that we did get from that, which is the Kenobi. Little like sizzle reel. We are going to discuss that a little bit. We do have a few things to talk about with that. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into our news. So now we have not gotten a trailer, but there's a lot of things stirring in Star Wars right now, and not sure where it's all going to go. But our first news story for today is that Patty Jenkins and Rian Johnson reportedly shelved Star Wars projects because of creative differences. So here's the deal with this. What we do know is that that Rogue Squadron has been delayed indefinitely. That's the one thing we can confirm. Hollywood Reporters talked about it. Lots of very reliable sources have talked about it. We kind of debated on whether we would post this as rumor or news, but we feel like it's been said by enough reliable sources that we can go ahead and consider this news. So Rogue Squadron has been delayed indefinitely, and now they're saying, and this is a little more on the rumor side, but we're going to go ahead and throw it in with this because it's attached to it, that it was delayed indefinitely because of creative differences that Kathleen, that Patty Jenkins had with Lucasfilm, and also that Rian Johnson's. Now this is completely rumor. There is nothing here, but again, we're including it here just for the sake of convenience, that Rian Johnson, his trilogy supposedly that he was working on has also been shelved.
Yeah.
I honestly, I'm not surprised by that. Mainly because of all the flack that he got with his Star Wars movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he does have a group that supports him strongly, but there's also a lot of fans that didn't like it.
Right.
And Disney's probably still to this day a little hesitant to have him do more Star Wars.
Well,
what's
at the
your
end
thoughts?
of the day, I'm saying at the end of the day, especially with the Rian Johnson part, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's one of those things where numbers, and especially Disney, right? Disney really cares about numbers, and there was such a significant amount of people who didn't like The Last Jedi that, of course, Disney is going to want to be safe. They want to make money. They want to, not have some kind of, blatant thing that like they're not ever going to be controversial if they can't help it. You know what I'm saying? So, here's this highly contested director that came in for one of the sequel trilogy movies, and all of a sudden, man, no one liked it. Well, we're not going to bring him back again. So I could definitely see that being a big factor into that for sure.
Yeah, and here's the deal. Like, I wasn't super excited for the Rogue Squadron movie in the first place. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I was not super excited about it. We never have heard about what Rian Johnson's trilogy was supposedly going to be. We heard
Right.
some rumors about
Right.
some different ideas of what it could be, but that's more just kind of like supposed rumors. No matter who the director would be, like those are the rumors, right?
Well, and I'll say just on a side, it's like a slight side note here. I was in the same way, right, with the Rogue Squadron. I was kind of like, if it's about the original Rogue Squadron, then that would be kind of cool with Wedge, Antilles and all them stuff. But from what I heard in the rumor section, that wasn't even going to be the one that they ended up doing. So,
right. Well, a lot of people, it appeared that this was actually maybe going to continue past Rise of Skywalker is what actually some of the rumors were.
Right.
Based off the image that was shown. There's a lot of people that say that is the newest version of the X-Wing.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly couldn't tell you. I don't know enough
right.
about the variations. I don't really pay
Right.
that much attention to those kind of things to be able to confirm or deny that.
Right.
But I've just seen what people have said, and there's been a lot of people saying that it was the newest version. So if that's the only tease we got, you could gather then that it's most likely probably set in that sequel trilogy era.
Mm-hmm.
And that versus what we're getting out of the original Rogue Squadron, I could see where there could be some creative differences there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't appear we're getting this anytime soon. I don't think it's completely off the table. They may look for somebody else to bring this in, but I do think they're for now going to move on.
Yeah.
And the big question is, what do they move on to next?
Right.
We're going to talk about that in just a little bit.
That's exactly what I was about to say. That's exactly what I was about to say. I was going to connect that a little bit and say that, those of you who are disappointed about the Rogue Squadron being delayed, again, we're not going to go into it immediately. It's going to be in our rumors, but we do have some rumors about a really great trade-off. So we'll get to that.
We'll get to that in our rumor section, so stick around.
Yes. So anyway, our second news piece for this week is coming from a couple different sources here, but it says that Kathleen Kennedy has re-upped her Disney contract for another 3 years. And we had actually talked about this I say a long time ago. Well, I mean, basically 2 years ago, right? One of our first episodes was Kathy K's Here to Stay. That was one of our titles, if you remember that.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
We thought we were really creative on that one.
Like our first 3 episodes have these really catchy titles, and now we're just Mando review episode.
So it's what 2 years
We're so
will
creative.
do to you.
We're so creative. No, so it's interesting that because I thought it was going to be for 3 years on that one. So we're coming to the second year. So it's interesting that that's coming up. Anyway, Drew, what more do you have on that about her re-upping her contract?
So we're getting this from again. This is one of those that it's a little iffy, a little more iffy than what we normally do in our news section.
Yeah.
But again, we feel like our sources are very reliable on this. That we feel like we can say this without telling you guys false information. but that it's saying that Kennedy. This is the quote that started and initiated this entire thing, and it's from Matthew Baloney, and it's yeah, well, and it's Belloni, but it's
like,
yes, it's basically.
I mean,
baloney.
is what he's saying trustworthy? Trustworthy if his name's Baloney? I mean, come on. Come on.
It's so true. It's so true.
Anyway, not to insult you, man.
anyways,
I'm sorry.
He said he's like crying. He's listening right now, crying. Kennedy has a lot of good things happening at Lucasfilm, and I'm told she recently re-upped her deal for another 3 years. And this is the guy from Puck Newsletter. It's he knows most likely
Very
what's
reliable
going on
source.
here.
Yeah.
But the current deal, if that is true, would keep Kathleen Kennedy in charge until at least 2024. At which point she'll have to weigh out her options once again. So, with that, you have to think about where we'll be at that point. We know Disney Plus is, of course, going to continue on with a lot of things, but where does that leave things with the movies, which I feel like Kathleen Kennedy has a bigger say in what's going on with the movies more so than with Disney Plus.
Sure, yeah.
Disney Plus, yes, she's over all of it, right? But I think based off what I've seen and what I've heard, I feel like her hands are she's a little more hands-on with the creative decisions of the movies and business decisions versus what's going on with Disney Plus. She's kind of handed that down more so far with Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, and she's like, I trust you with this. Here,
I would say one of our was, I don't know if it was a news piece or a rumor. I think it was actually a news piece, but I mean several months ago, I think it was that basically that Filoni was, I don't know, promoted or just at least recognized as like creative director or something like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I think that coincides exactly with what you're saying. Is that he's definitely taken more of the reins of that creative stuff of anything below movies, essentially. You know.
Yeah, and so I fully believe this is the case. She's probably again going to. Kathy K is here to stay for another 3 years.
Yeah.
So all those rumors about like Jon Favreau taking over and stuff, maybe there had been talks about it, but it does not appear that is what's going to happen. So we'll see where it goes from here. I would say the success of Disney Plus has given her the opportunity and maybe even for her own self made the decision to stick around because right now, because of The Mandalorian, Star Wars has been on a high note, right? And, and of course, The Bad Batch was well received. We weren't huge fans of it, but it was well received. The Star Wars Visions, again, I'm not necessarily a huge fan of, but again,
prior to that,
well received.
Season 7 of Clone Wars. It was
yes.
Yeah, that's a huge thing.
Clone Wars came back. Lots of good things, right?
Yeah.
We've been hit with on the publishing side of things, the High Republic, which has been great. And now Kathleen Kennedy's not involved in that. Well, I mean, yes and no. I guess in a sense she kind of is, right? But like probably not. Right. But I'm sure she at least at the very highest had some kind of maybe approval in that, you know?
Right.
But she things are going good with Star Wars,
right?
And in the bigger picture, right? So why not stay?
Yeah.
And the big question that I think I have about this is where do the movies go from here? How can they get moviegoers back to watch Star Wars? I just had a recent conversation with someone who was a huge Legends fan. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to him about Star Wars, and I realized something. He's barely consumed any of new canon at all.
Yeah.
He's tried to watch a few things. He's tried to watch The Mandalorian, different things, but he honestly he struggles to, and he's refused to pick up a canon book. And this is somebody that has read all the Legends books. Yeah. To the point of he just reread 16 of them throughout last year, Legends books. So he is a devoted Star Wars fan, but only in Legends.
Yeah, to the stuff that was pre-Disney, essentially.
Right, and it's purposely because he hates what Disney has done to Star Wars. He refuses to consume Disney content, even though he told me he is tempted to come back for Book of Boba Fett, but he's not really sure if he will.
Right,
but that's what Disney has to do. Disney has to
exactly.
get these fans back on board.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
big question is, how do you do that? Well, the sequel trilogy was not how you do
Nope,
that. Okay,
not at all.
That's
how you mostly drove the wedge between.
That's how you
them,
drove a
know?
wedge between those people that loved Star Wars, and then now they hate it. What is it gonna take? And I think things like focusing on a beloved character like Boba Fett is possibly a way to do it if it works out, right? But I think the biggest thing is the next movie. The next movie has to hit a home run.
Right.
We have to get the theater experience back in where it needs to be with that Star Wars magic.
Right.
And again, this is not saying anything against people who enjoyed the sequel trilogy. Great. If you enjoyed it, that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you know, I had fun watching those movies. I did. I had fun watching them. But do I have much desire to sit down and watch The Rise of Skywalker right now? No.
Not a ton, yeah.
I've watched it 2 times.
I think I've only watched it once, honestly.
I watched it in theaters with you, and then I watched it once when it came out in 4K. I watched the 4K Blu-ray at my house to rewatch it. And you know, I don't have much desire to rewatch it. But you know what I did just rewatch? I rewatched A New Hope for the 5 billionth time, and I will continue to do so. I watched it with my daughter. Actually, I sat her down and watched it.
It's good parenting.
And
right there.
yeah, it is. You're right. And it's like we've got to get back to having movies that we can all love and enjoy.
Get back to the basics of life. Anyway,
So,
I don't know how the song goes.
anyways,
Yeah.
that was a big rant.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the last thing I'll say on that, it's kind of a cohesive statement here. You know, at the end of the day, there is so many different people in the world, right? With so many different varying opinions and ideologies and thought processes and likes and dislikes. So I agree that to some degree you can't just keep catering to one group, you know, to reach a larger audience. But at the same time, and again, the last thing I'll say is just to piggyback off what you said, is that at the same time, though, you can't completely go so far in the opposite direction that you abandon who originally made Star Wars what it is. So anyway, so you got to find the balance.
And it's always going to be a struggle with balance. You're always going to have people that are going to hate something.
Oh, 100%.
You're always going to have people that are going to love something. You know, it's never equally loved. It's never equally hated.
Right.
Nothing is.
No,
right?
well, yeah.
And
absolutely.
so, yeah, I mean, but there is times where there's a majority, when a majority either hates or loves something, that's when you kind of know.
Yeah.
You know, like, and unfortunately with the sequel trilogy, yes, critics loved it. Well, they loved the first 2. I guess they weren't so hot on the third one, but
which is ironic. Anyway, yeah, we'll go on.
But it's pretty much, I would say, if you took a vote, majority of people don't prefer the sequel trilogy in comparison to the rest of Star Wars.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so we just got to get back to that somehow. We got to find a way to get people back on board. So
yeah, I totally agree.
and actually, this next news story kind of continues on in the same conversation, and that is that Dark Horse Comics is returning to the Star Wars galaxy. Now, to some of you, this means nothing, right? But to others, this is kind of a big deal because Dark Horse Comics is who carried a lot of the Legend comics. Back when I was younger and was reading Star Wars comics, it was through Dark Horse.
They're a classic Marvel. You know, they've been out for a long time.
Yeah, and they've worked with Lucasfilm on a variety of titles from Dark Empire, even like in 1991.
Yeah.
All the way back then, right? And so, yes, we've seen a lot of Dark Horse comics with Star Wars. And beginning in the spring of 2022, you can experience adventures in every era from the High Republic through the rise of the First Order with new and exciting stories, produced in collaboration with Lucasfilm and Disney Worldwide Publishing. The idea is to build up a Star Wars program that includes an ongoing series as well as an anthology. Mixed in would be one-shots and specials. We'll see where we go from there. Initially, we will focus on stories featuring the High Republic. So, Now, for those of you who may be concerned, no need to worry. Marvel Comics will continue publishing its line of Star Wars comics alongside Dark Horse.
Yeah.
So here's what this tells me. Marvel has been very successful in their Star Wars publishing. Marvel's not going anywhere.
Right.
So anyone who's worried about that, there's no need to be worried. Marvel's not going anywhere. They're going to continue doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
With Star Wars. What I think this means is that IDW is getting kicked to the curb.
Yeah.
With
probably.
all of their Star Wars Adventures titles.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people tore up about that. But
So what I think is going on here is kind of what we've seen from IDW with the like family focused titles and things of that nature. I think a lot of that will be shifted over into Dark Horse Comics,
which is ironic.
Which
to
is
me, which is very ironic.
It's very ironic, right?
Anyone that knows anything about Dark Horse, they always, I mean, like the name kind of, pertains to, they always kind of took on a lot of the darker, the Dark Horse, the darker stories and stuff. So anyway, it's kind of
yeah. Well, and they had like the Clone Wars comics from back in the day, and those were a lot darker, and grittier than anything we've seen from the animated series.
Yeah, even so on season 6 and 7,
Yeah,
I mean,
and so and they might do some adult stuff as well, but to me, I think this is where that IDW stuff is going to go. I think IDW is almost guaranteed to be done for until they're finished with what they've already said they're going to publish.
Right.
But like they have so many publishing issues.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know
It's
if a
always
Star Wars
delayed
Adventures title is coming out when it says it is.
Yeah.
And rarely do they.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Lucasfilm's getting tired of that.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I'm sure that's exciting for some Legends fans because Legends fans will have loved reading those Dark Horse comics, and they're kind of like bringing it back into the family. And we'll see what happens. I mean, that could even maybe mean maybe we'll continue on some Legend stories. Maybe they'll continue some of those Legend comics lines that they could, that maybe got cut off. Maybe they can continue those.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, never know.
There's a lot of opportunity.
A lot of possibility for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. So, well, anyway, that's definitely an interesting thing to look forward to. Again, those of you who do like comics or who have been familiar with Dark Horse or some of those old series and stuff. We're gonna get to our final one. Right before we get to our final one, I do have like a little sub one that we didn't mention or we didn't plan on putting here, but I just feel like we needed to. So recently, November 12th, on Disney Plus, was released the little series called Under the Helmet: The Legacy of Boba Fett, which is basically, it's just like a little like short movie, I guess you want to call it, kind of a documentary, and it kind of came out in between our podcast, so I kind of wanted to hit on it just for a second, just for those of you who are not following it super closely. Those of you who like Boba Fett, it's a really cool little thing. It just kind of outlines the history, how Boba Fett was made, and how he got up to the point where he is now. So just kind of wanted to mention that for anybody who is interested. Not really enough for us to do like a review or anything like that.
Right, but it was enjoyable.
It was very cool.
We watched it together.
Cool.
And it was definitely worth watching.
Yeah, of any character I would like to dive into, Boba Fett is definitely up there, and so I enjoyed watching it for sure. So to get to our actual last news piece, the title of this news piece is that the concept art reveals more information for the Kenobi series. So as you may know, the Hellhounds are coming in here. So as you may know, in Disney Plus Day, we got the sizzle reel for Kenobi, the series. It was awesome. Not a ton of stuff in there. It's mostly, Ewan McGregor kind of talking and stuff like that. But what they did drop is several sets of the concept art for the show. And there was actually some really interesting things that we got to see in that whatever you want to call it, that set there. You can go over several of them here. Some of my favorites, of course, is you do see one with I can't find it exactly right here, but Kenobi is in Tatooine clearly, and he's riding a I can't remember what those are called, but the one with the long snouts or whatever. But he's got his like long robes on. They're kind of tattered. He's looking a little older and super awesome.
Yeah, he's got a lot of white coming in on that
little beard
hair and
there.
beard.
Yeah,
I'm curious if this is really kind of what he'll look like, or
right.
if they.
Or it's a concept.
Of course,
I mean,
it's just
that they kinda
concept,
just-
but I'm curious how closely that will be correct as far
Right.
as what they actually show us.
Another really cool one is what we appear we see Vader again from what appears to be in his throne room in Mustafar at his castle, which is awesome. It's one of the first things outside of the VR game that we get to see of Mustafar. And he's looking at a hologram, so I don't know. It doesn't really look to be Palpatine. But it could be, I guess, very ambiguous, but it's very, very cool picture.
Yeah, and we also see what appears to be a rebel base, which is pretty exciting. I think that Kenobi is clearly going to go on some kind of mission for this early rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I'm not sure exactly. We're still not sure exactly what that is, right? But
Right.
something that's going to be very important. We also see what appears to be some kind of underworld, possibly even Coruscant. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like it'd be crazy for Kenobi to go back to Coruscant of all places.
Well, and then
But-
but here's the thing. One of the next pictures that we see, and I could be completely wrong on this. I mean, it looks pretty big, so it's probably not the same thing. But it looks to be the stormtroopers in some very large hall. What immediately I thought was maybe the Jedi Temple, but it looks way too big to be the Jedi Temple. And now I'm thinking about it. But what is your thoughts on that? The one that's kind of like bluish and all the stormtroopers in it.
Yeah. So that's a good question. It does kind of give like Jedi Temple vibes.
It's too big though, maybe. I think.
But you're right. It's definitely not. It almost looks to me like maybe that's water to the left, like outside of that, like maybe it's underwater.
Yeah, could be.
And if it is, could it potentially be the base we see that the Inquisitors are in the end of Jedi Fallen Order? Wasn't that underwater?
Yeah, it was, but this is way too big for that. It was kind of like, I know, it was not nearly this big. It was kind of like an underwater base, or where it's kind of like tubes going to different rooms type of thing. I mean, at least from what I remember, I could be wrong, but
Well, no, you're right. I just don't know that we saw like all of it though, right?
True,
I mean,
true.
I don't know.
true.
I'm just trying to think of what it could possibly be. We know also one of the other pictures is is definitely an Inquisitor showing up with two stormtroopers, which it looks like landing on probably Tatooine. And it's definitely an Inquisitor. If you look,
I'm not seeing this picture.
you'll see. I have it pulled up.
Let me see it. I didn't see that one. Huh.
It's without a doubt an
Oh
Inquisitor.
yeah, that's
there in the
totally a
front.
Inquisitor. Yeah, for sure.
I'm not 100% sure if this is an Inquisitor we have seen before or not, but it's definitely an Inquisitor landing on Tatooine, probably in search of Kenobi. And so that, of course, is very, very interesting. Trying to see if there's anything else to point out.
You know, I was gonna say, of course, we have the coup de grace of all of the pictures. Because we don't want to skip over too many of them here, but the coup de grace, of course, the main one that everybody's looking at, of course, is the clash between the beasts here, and we got kind of crossing of sabers between Kenobi and Vader, which is very interesting. But yeah, I mean, so like a lot of people, and there's lava, so I mean, it looks like a return to Mustafar type thing. But people are wondering if it's not some kind of like flashback. Is it really the battle, or what I'm saying? So, but it's an amazing concept art for sure, though.
Yeah, and another thing to remember is like concept art is, again, it's concept art. It
doesn't always
translate to exactly what we're going to see on screen. We may not see any of this on screen.
Yeah. Very
Sometimes concept art is just creating concepts, and then they might look at these and go, oh, I like this or I like that. They may not even necessarily know the plot yet, but they're just going ahead and starting to, draw stuff up. Like it does not necessarily mean that we're going to see these things.
Right.
But I would say they picked these on purpose, right? Because they probably have all kinds of concept art.
Yeah.
So they purposely picked these for
that
a
aligns
reason.
to some degree.
Right. That aligns kind of with where they're headed, and just give us that slight little tease. One, again, for me, the biggest one, I think the biggest tease out of all of this is seeing that Inquisitor, because that confirms, almost basically confirms that, yes, the Inquisitors will be in this and they will be going after Kenobi, and that I cannot wait to see. That's gonna
be so cool. And I'm just excited for, obviously they're going after him because they don't really know who he is yet. Obviously, they just know that there's might be a Jedi in this location, and I would love for a couple Inquisitors to go missing, and then that's when Vader starts to look into it more and like, what is going on here?
They definitely, to make it, they're gonna have to have at least 3 of these guys against Kenobi, right? One Inquisitor against Kenobi is not going to be anything. No. You're going to have at least 3 of these guys. At least to make more, it, because if they only bring us one and it's supposed to put up a fight against Kenobi, I'm gonna be mad.
Yeah,
I might turn it off. I might not watch Kenobi.
Which they might, if they do that, they might play it off as well, he's old now and he hasn't fought for a long time, and he's apprehensive to fight, right? He doesn't want to reveal himself. They might play it off like that. I don't know, but you're right. I don't want that to happen. So yeah.
So, anyways, let's go ahead. We managed to talk
so long
for a long time on that news, but hey, that's a lot of good stuff there to think about, some stuff to really chew on. But we're gonna jump into our rumors, and don't worry, we have some good stuff for our rumors here as well.
Yeah.
And our first one is pretty big here, and it's the potential shooting schedule for the Acolyte, Ahsoka, and a new season of Andor. What? And we'll get to what that means here in just a minute. So what we have here is, we know, first of all, that Andor has been filming for a long time. It's even believed that Andor has done filming, right? But what we have is that the Acolyte will start filming in May of 2022 and Ahsoka in March. The plan is the Acolyte will be filming between May and November in LA. And earlier it had been reported it would start in February, but plans change, especially when it comes to shooting dates. And it also confirms that the show will have a production titled Paradox. So you can think about that as much as you want. But as far as Ahsoka goes, it's set to begin shooting in March. So it would follow The Mandalorian in the Manhattan Beach, California studio. And we know that Pedro Pascal is supposed to wrap on The Mandalorian, or actually Production Weekly has it listed as March 23rd to be exact. So it would make sense that Ahsoka they're going to be just full force going into Ahsoka right after this next season of Mandalorian is finished.
Yeah.
So that's there for you. But what's interesting here is this about Andor, is it also lists Andor season 3.
Season 200. But that's crazy. Yeah, we're because Andrew was initially reading this title off, and he didn't even mention the season part, right? He said potential shooting schedule for Acolyte, Ahsoka, and Andor. I'm like, Andor, that's supposed to be coming out already. He's like, yes, season 3. So I was very interesting.
So that could be a typo. They could just have wrong information.
Yeah.
Or potentially they have already filmed a second season. And what I mean by that is maybe they filmed the seasons back to back, because let's not forget, they started filming Andor back in November of last year.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
so here we are a year later, and we know that they had been filming up till not that long ago. So ideally, realistically, they could have filmed 2 seasons within that span of time.
Yeah.
And especially since you assume they're not going to have that many episodes of this show.
Right.
Per season.
Right.
So they may have done a thing where maybe they had 1 season and decided to split that season into 2. That's also an option.
Yeah.
So that's just some ideas of how this season 3 thing could pan out. But more likely is that this is probably just wrong or a typo, and they're going to be filming Andor season 2.
Well, and like I said, basically kind of.
Anyways, that's targeting. I didn't say when. It's targeting a late summer, early autumn release window for season 1.
I was going to say season 3. I'm like, what? Well, let's say, but here's the thing. Like again, what we kind of alluded to a second ago is the fact that Andor was like the first show. Like it was the first show that was ever mentioned, even before Mandalorian. If you remember, Andor was like the first show that was mentioned, even before Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So I mean, if theoretically, if they had been working on this long, it very well could be that they have already put 2 seasons into. So I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying it's not an impossibility. It would be kind of shocking, but it's not an impossibility. So
yeah, and I just still, and I know we've said this on the podcast over and over again, but like we were there at Celebration, sitting there looking at the actor for K2SO, whatever his name is. I can't remember his name. Alan something?
Yeah,
I
think you're right.
He's got like a weird last name.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it is, but
redheaded guy.
You guys are all like screaming and yelling at us his name right now.
We never know
like
people's
usual,
names. Come on.
But he's sitting there. We're in person. We're watching him, and he's like, "Yeah, we're doing a prequel to Rogue One, and I'm in it, and blah blah blah, and all this stuff, and everybody's cheering, and here we are.
Yeah.
What, like 3 years later?
Whoa, this is crazy.
I don't know if it's been that long,
like
but
it's been
pretty long, right?
Yeah,
it's almost been 3 years.
1 show, 2 seasons.
We're not far off from 3 years ago.
I know. Yeah.
And we've gotten, like you just said, multiple things since then, and like for whatever reason, this Andor show.
Yeah.
And here's another thing to point out.
Mm-hmm.
We at this point we have more on Kenobi than we have on Andor, which Kenobi was announced way later after. Andor.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
Later.
It's weird. It's
later.
really, really weird, and I don't know.
It's bizarre.
I don't know exactly what's going on in the background about this movie or what decisions have been made. If there has been lots of changes, but like something weird's going on there. But anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and move on. So our second rumor for this week is something I'm not too familiar with. Drew is going to have to help me fill in all this a little bit on this. But there was a teaser for Star Wars Eclipse from Quantum Dream. Sorry, not there was, but it may be coming to the Game Awards. So Drew, fill us all in here because I'm not 100% sure on this one.
So I am incredibly excited about this one. This has me so excited, and I really hope it's true. This rumor is stating that, as you just said, Star Wars Eclipse, which is kind of the title they have right now for it, from Quantic Dream could be officially revealed at Game Awards, which is I think December 9th. I think is when the Game Awards is.
Mm-hmm.
And to give you guys some background here, Quantic Dream are the creators of the game Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls and Detroit Become Human. Heavy Rain, very popular. Kind of a classic at this point. Beyond Two Souls wasn't near as accepted worldwide, but Detroit Become Human was more of a recent game they did that did find a lot of fans and a lot of success. And what you'll find from their games is they are very decision based. So they put you in like a it's almost more like a movie in a lot of ways. There's a lot of cinematics. You do a lot more observing, a lot more watching. Sometimes even when you're controlling the character, you're not necessarily like in a shootout. You're more like you could just be like walking through a house. Like, and they'll even let you like, turn on the sink or just like silly stuff. But they have a way of creating more of like a normal feeling, like a Sims, but like to the extreme type of feel.
Yeah, basically it's like deep diving into the everyday world of wherever you're at, but also ends up having like this really intriguing, deep story that just pulls you in. You know what I'm saying?
And like Heavy Rain was super different at the time because you just played like normal characters. You didn't have superpowers. You didn't have, you weren't like some insane like combat
Black
crazy,
Ops, crazy,
But you were a detective and you had to figure out this crime, and then the serial killer starts involving like your family, and it gets crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But
Then like Detroit Become Human, that was like a mind blowing game. In fact, funny enough, it's like a single player story based. Like but literally, I remember when it came out, Drew and I sat up like all night and played it. Yeah. I basically watched him play it, but I was so intrigued. I was like, I could have did anything else. I'm like, dude, this is the coolest game I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so it's very cool stuff that they do there, and again, a lot of it is very cinematic, and you make decisions throughout that alters the story, and that's very important because now what the rumor here we're getting is that they are working on a video game that is set during the time of the High Republic. So this is huge.
That's gonna be crazy.
This is huge.
If that's true.
Here's what or at least the rumors are telling us so far. The game is being developed by the I'm not even trying to say this name, but it's let's call it a spin-off studio from the usual studio at Quantic Dream. Okay, and this is gonna be their first major project on this spin-off studio. Johan Kazaux is said to be the game director of this title, and he had a lot of involvement in the Assassin's Creed games. So that does make me wonder if there is going to be maybe a little more combat involved in this, which would make sense if you're a Jedi, having a little more combat in this than what we're used to in Quantic Dream titles, and possibly even maybe some open world elements, which also we don't normally get in Quantic Dream titles. But it makes you wonder if maybe those are kind of some of the things they're going to be adding to this.
Right. Yeah.
They also said that multiplayer may also be an option and a first for Quantic Dream.
Yeah, that'd be a big thing.
And I hope, personally, if there is going to be multiplayer, that this is not a PvP combat multiplayer, but I hope this is, you want to play with a friend, you can do the whole story as a co-op experience where you both make decisions and etc.
That would be very cool.
I think that would be really
cool.
And
it could include elements to like what was that one game where you're two guys escaping from prison that you played a lot?
Oh yeah, that's good. It's
you should know. You should know this. You played it. I feel like you played it like a lot.
I love that game.
Man,
wow, I cannot remember what it's called. A Way Out.
A Way Out. Yeah.
And also, their next game they made is also fantastic. It's my game of the year right now.
Really?
Like, I would say it's my game of the year. It's It Takes Two. Just phenomenal co-op game.
Basically, there's a lot of cooperative. It's a story based, I guess, kind of, but there's a lot of cooperative action elements to it too, obviously. So it would be interesting, like with what you're saying, if they kind of mesh what we see in I keep want to say Deus Ex, but not that. Heavy Rain and Detroit Become Human and stuff like that, mixing that with A Way Out and It Takes Two. You know what I'm saying? It'd be very interesting to see that.
That would be incredible. But no matter what, I feel like we can definitely assume that this will be a very immersive narrative-based experience.
Oh yeah,
and we have not gotten that in Star Wars since Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So, just the potential in this is incredibly exciting.
Oh yeah,
and you can guarantee if this is announced December 9th, you can check us out on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
And also on our podcast, of course, we will be discussing this if this comes true.
Absolutely.
So let's go on to our next rumor for today, which is kind of going back to what we started our episode in today, talking about the movies being, or the Rogue Squadron movie being delayed indefinitely. We now have some other things here that can kind of go along with this. And the first thing I want to mention is that it's rumored that an Old Republic movie is going to be released much sooner than you may think. Now, here's the deal. The rumor here is, of course, or not even a rumor, but we know that the Rogue Squadron movie has been delayed indefinitely. Mm-hmm. Disney is going to be trying to find a way to fill this hole, right?
Yeah.
So what is now rumored is that they have decided to take this Old Republic movie that they've had discussion on maybe for quite a while, you would think.
Yeah.
And put that into the release time of where Rogue Squadron would have been, which would have been 2023. Mm-hmm. And Big Screen Leaks reported that a mystery Star Wars film will begin filming in 2022, unrelated to any of the previously announced projects. And now several credible sources since then have came out and said that it is set in the Old Republic era. And it's going to be released in December 2023. So according to the rumor, Rogue Squadron has already received a major rewrite, and attention is being put on getting the story right. As a result, Lucasfilm is on the brink of pushing Rogue Squadron back to release in 2024, allowing the Old Republic film to occupy its initial slot. Since this article has been written, we have gotten more information, though. One of those big things is that there were creative differences. It doesn't appear that movie is going to be happening anytime soon, and potentially if it does, it may not even include Patty Jenkins. But what we can also add to this is that new info has suggested that it could instead be set in the High Republic era.
Hey, I don't think this is going to be, it's just a publishing thing. Right?
Yeah, right. So, earlier, they talked about 2023 Star Wars movie being Old Republic, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. But now they're actually saying that both a live-action Old Republic and High Republic projects are actually in the pipeline, but that the High Republic movie will be the first one to be released.
Interesting.
So it sounds like they're juggling a lot of things here right now, trying to decide which option is going to be best. But it does appear that we are still going to get something in that Christmas 2023 release. Braxton, do you think that this will be either an Old Republic movie, a High Republic movie, or neither?
It's hard to say. I mean, for me personally, as much as I hate to say it, realistically speaking, I think neither, right? That's not what I want. I'm just saying realistically. I would find it very surprising if it was either of these two things, just because of the fact that again, they have announced several times that the High Republic is going to be a publishing series only, which we know they've already broke that 2 different times now. So I guess it's not off the table completely. But second of all, especially with the Old Republic, and we've talked about this in the past, right? We've talked about this many times before, is that it would be very, very, very difficult for the average or new fan, average fan, or kind of like the surface level fan, for them to bring in Old Republic stuff, and they're like, okay, wait, Old Republic, High Republic, how does that play? So I think it would be most surprising if it was the Old Republic. I think it would be less surprising and maybe even somewhat plausible, because by that time they're going to be in phase 2, maybe getting close to phase 3. I don't really even know for sure on High Republic. So maybe at that point that's fleshed out enough. They're like, yeah, let's go ahead and make a movie for it. And I think obviously most realistic is that it's neither. But I would be very happy with either High Republic or Republic. So anyway, I could definitely see High Republic being it, right? Because again, and it coming first and stuff like that. Because again, especially in 2023, I could definitely see it kind of, either winding down phase 2 or starting up phase 3. Maybe, I don't really know the exact timelines, but you see what I'm saying. And again, that could fall right in line with the time for a High Republic movie. And it's still 2 years from now, so they've already broke the rule of it being only a publishing series at least 2 times that I know of. So there's plenty more to come. So
yeah. So yeah, I definitely am leaning more towards High Republic than I am Old Republic.
yeah,
One of the big reasons is I still don't know that they are willing to touch Old Republic just yet.
exactly.
We know there are very set legend stories in Old Republic that people are going to have issues with them changing. Now, of course, there's ways to get around that, as in like going even farther back. But if you say you're going to make an Old Republic movie, people are going to want Revan in it, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like automatically, they're going to want Revan, and you're going to upset fans if you don't include him, but you're also going to upset them if he isn't it, but
it's not exactly
what
yeah.
they expected it to be.
Yeah, because we know that Revan has been made canon now, but again, we have
Right.
no clue what iteration of Revan is canon.
And
right?
so it's very touchy,
Yeah.
and I don't know that they want to take a risk like that right now.
right.
I'm not saying that won't be it. I still think it would be cool if they eventually do it.
Oh,
but we
yeah.
also know they're making a remake of Old Republic, right?
Yeah, we
And
know that
so,
for sure. Like that's an actual
and
fact.
so if they're doing that, would they also want to try to do a movie on top of that, or would they want to leave it alone? I don't know.
Personally, I think they'd want to, maybe if they do end up doing a movie, that they were going to want to have the game first and have it established. People get an idea of
Well,
you know.
but I mean, that's potentially going to be the case, right? They may.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't necessarily know exactly when Knights of the Republic remake will release, but you assume it will be released before this movie would hit.
Potentially,
And maybe
yeah.
that's why they said they could go ahead with the remake.
Could be.
It is a way to look at it. But if you look at the High Republic, we know that a phase, at least based off what we know of the first phase, the first phases last about a year. Right,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we essentially it was like an entire year, maybe a little more, that the first phase ran.
Yeah.
And then we know that there's a phase 2 and a phase 3,
Yeah.
and inside of those are at least 3 waves. And in the first phase,
I was saying phase earlier. I meant wave. That's what I was trying to say. If that sounded weird to anybody, I was trying to say wave.
so in the first phase we got, the first wave was in the beginning of the year of 2021, right? Yeah. I think
maybe
it's been too long. I'm pretty sure it came out like
yeah,
towards
no,
the
you're
beginning
right.
of the year.
It did. It was like
And
it was
then-
like December of 2020 into like January-ish of 2021.
Something like that. Yeah, I think it was. And then in the summer we got phase 2, and now at the beginning of 2022 we are getting phase 3.
Yeah. Okay.
Or sorry, not phase, wave 3. It gets confusing. Wave 3. So and then phase 2 will begin, right? And so that, if you look at it that way, by the end of that 2023 slot could potentially be close to lining up to around phase 3.
Yeah.
At this rate, phase 3 wouldn't be finished yet, but they could be shorter. The last 2 phases could be shorter than the first phase. We don't know.
Oh yeah, totally. Totally.
But then we also know that the Acolytes appears to be lining up for a 2023 release. So all of that could eventually lead into, in December of 2023, a movie that kind of puts a cap on all of this, right? Or at least for this initial big chunk of the High Republic. I don't know, but that's just one way to look at it as well.
Yeah.
Or 2023 slot is done for. We don't get anything.
don't get anything.
We have to wait till
Yeah.
like 2025
5 or 6, maybe. Yeah.
or probably 2025. And the reason I say that is because we know 2024 is December is Avatar, and they're not going to release an Avatar and a Star Wars both in December.
Right.
They won't do it because
They're not gonna do that.
that's going to take away from their profits.
Oh
So-
yeah, 100%. They're not going to compete against themselves.
Yeah. So, anyways, a lot of stuff that we have discussed here, a lot of of opportunity there to see some really great stuff in Star Wars. If you guys have opinions on any of the stuff we discussed, please put it in the comments. We would love to hear from you guys and hear your takes on this stuff, because there's a lot of takes in this episode, right? Like a lot of predicting, a lot of ideas that we have, but like none of it is for sure. And we would love to hear what you guys think on that, because it is very exciting stuff. But let's jump into our releases very quickly. In our releases, we have a couple things here. I'm getting it pulled up. We have on the 24th, we have the High Republic Trail of Shadows issue number 2. And that is going to be on Wednesday there. We have Star Wars Adventures issue number 12 on that same date. And we also have Star Wars Adventures Annual 2021 issue and Life Day issue number 1. I don't think it necessarily has to be said, but I'm going to say it anyways. Probably not all going to be released. But
yeah, well, yeah, maybe.
I would say there's a good chance Life Day actually will release then, but the rest of them are very much up to debate.
Yeah. I mean, because they're already late on Life Day anyway, so.
But then jumping forward to the next Wednesday, we have something that I am personally very excited about, and that is Crimson Reign issue number 1. Crimson Reign issue number 1 will be the continuation of what we got within War of the Bounty Hunters, where we see that Kira is back, and now we're going to see kind of Kira, see what's next for her and Crimson Dawn. Yeah. And that's what we're getting in Crimson Reign issue number 1 starting December 1st. Nice. So definitely make sure you guys pick that up. We're also going to be getting Bounty Hunters issue number 18. We're going to have the High Republic Adventures issue number 11, Darth Vader issue number 18. So lots of good stuff there. I can't wait to see what they do with Kira in the future of Star Wars. I think there is a lot of opportunity that we're going to see her in other media, not just in these comics, but the way they're taking her story. I think it's not out of the question to eventually see her in live action again sometime in the future. So.
Well, I mean, it's Emilia Clarke. I mean, come on.
Yeah, of course they want to bring her back.
Yeah, naturally.
Who wouldn't want to bring her back?
Who wouldn't want to?
She's great. So,
yeah.
Okay, anyways, go ahead. Take the wheel.
So, we're going to go ahead and get into our community discussion section of our podcast. So as you guys may or may not know, we have been going into a community discussion segment where each week we make a Facebook post asking you guys, the Eternals, a specific question, and asking that you would answer, and we'll discuss it live on air. So this week's question is Thanksgiving themed, as Thanksgiving will be, the next kind of thing we see, anyway, the next podcast will be after Thanksgiving, so we're just gonna make a Thanksgiving thing, right? Anyway, but we asked you guys basically, what do you like about Star Wars? But ultimately, what are you thankful about regarding the saga? And on a side note, if you're thinking, oh my gosh, these guys are going way too long today, well, don't worry, we don't have a main topic today. We're actually kind of bunching that in with our community discussion, and we're going to talk about your guys' answers, but also ours as well.
Yes.
So this week's first answer, in regards to what do you like about Star Wars and what are you thankful about Star Wars? And that comes from our good friend JB, Joshin Birkinshaw, all the way across the pond, who says, for me, it's an escape from the hustle and bustle of the real world. Star Wars, in the original trilogy, had me hooked, and then the Legends, and now the new canon. It's blown my mind ever since I can remember. I'm thankful that Star Wars has come back, and don't get me wrong, it's annoying that these new fans are the same people who would bully, who said that they liked Star Wars back in school, but us nerds, capitalized, have the last laugh now. Yes, we do. I'm also so thankful for this podcast. Thank you, JB. You guys are the best, and yes, even Alex. ...
I love that.
I know. The info you guys give us and the content you create is outstanding. So thank you, Jedi Eternal Star Wars Podcast, and please don't stop. Thank you very much for the kind words, JB. And just in a rebuttal, Alex comes back in his comments and saying, even Alex with the six dots and everything. JB, I don't know whether to feel touched or attacked. But then Alex says, for real though, JB, appreciate you, man. It's nice to be able to have this community of people that are good Star Wars fans that aren't toxic, but just down for good conversation and fun. So Alex goes on in his own comment, but first we just want to address that. So again, JB, you hit it on the nail on the head there. First of all, we thank you very much for your kind words, and we absolutely love that you are a part of our community.
Man,
seriously,
I love JB so much.
I love JB.
He's just
I love
like
JB.
he's just so awesome.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. I mean,
he's one of the reasons that we are still sitting here doing this right now.
for real, JB, you hear, listen to us when we say that. You are one of the main reasons. For real.
Yeah, like here we are, how long we been doing this now?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years.
Yeah.
And without question, JB, you're one of the reasons we keep doing
100%.
this. So thank you.
There's some dude that listens to us crazy Indiana dudes all the way across the ocean in old England, and and you listen to us every week, man. Well, maybe not every week because we don't do stuff every week anymore.
He's over there sipping on tea and eating
his biscuits and crumpets.
And
I'm not trying to offend you or anything, but
we probably are though. We probably are like super offending him right now.
I don't know. I don't know what you guys do over there.
That's what we picture. I picture you on like a fancy padded chair, like and like
smoking a pipe, and
you're like in like a semi like looking like castle thing, and you're
everyone from England has castles, right? That's how it works. So
and you chose to listen to us Indiana boys and
us old bumpkins boys
over here next to the cornfields.
Yeehaw. And we really are next to a cornfield. Anyway, no, and in all seriousness though, JB, we have very appreciated it. Anyway,
so
but in turn, and we're getting to what we're thankful for. So we'll stop for a second, but we're just going to hit on what you said. Basically, you hit it on the nail on the head. I mean, Star Wars has always been a big, huge part of our lives, obviously, right? The whole reason we have a podcast. And anyway, yeah, I mean, so you hit it on the head. So then, like, Alex comes back with those little rebuttals there from his comments. And Alex says, I'm thankful for the fact that in the past few years, except for the sequels for me, it has made me feel like a kid again. And Jedi Eternal, Star Wars podcast, has been a big part of that. Thank you, my friend. I just always have a blast interacting with this community and all of us talking about Star Wars with our own ideas. By the way, The Mandalorian Chapter 16, which is the finale for Season 2, those of you who are not familiar, has not got old, and it has been almost a year. So on all topics there, Alex, you are absolutely right. It's so funny but true is that I've never stopped liking Star Wars, right? I've never stopped I've always, from a kid when I first discovered it and fell in love with it until now, I've loved it. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, especially when there's that time between when Disney took over and basically Clone Wars kind of stopped for a while, and there was no big movies and stuff. For many years there was nothing, and you still love Star Wars, but it's just like it's kind of dry. It's just not there. You're not thinking about it. But for real, since we 2 years now that all the stuff has been pouring out, we started the podcast. I fell back in love with Star Wars again, harder than ever before, and it has made me feel like a kid again, and it's been awesome. So that you hit the nail on the head with that, absolutely. So our third and final answer comes from Brandon Dukes. But Brandon, I don't know if you deleted your comment, if Facebook deleted your comment, or whatever. I know for a fact, me and Andrew both know for a fact that we read your comment.
We saw that you posted something.
I remember you reading because I made a joke at yourself saying thank you for how do you say, thank you for dealing with my Florida education. And I was going to make the comment, well, we can absolutely deal with their Florida education because we have Indiana education.
Yeah, so like if you got embarrassed about it or something,
don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
We have Indiana education, dude. We eat corn around here, man. Come on, we're corn fed. Anyway, so but I do remember Brandon basically kind of saying the same thing as a lot of these guys were saying. I don't remember it exactly. So Brandon, I don't know if you delete. I don't know what happened, but if you want to re-comment it, we'll read it off next time. But basically, he said the same things, that basically he just always loved Star Wars and it's been great and he's had a great time. And so, anyway, yeah, and he talked about how he liked the community too, and we absolutely, Brandon, we absolutely love having you in our community. Brandon, yes, Alex, JB, Stuart, Kristen, Noah Aguilar. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. I hate to even say names because I don't like to leave anybody out, right?
Well, and you know what's so awesome about that is all those names you just mentioned are all from like different corners,
places,
like different corners of the world practically, and that's so cool.
Well, like Noah's from California. which is like to the far, I mean, if we're looking at a map, right, far left of us, and then we look at Stuart and JB, who are all the far right of us in England and stuff, and then we even have
we have our Canadian friend.
What's
his name?
Guillaume as his last name. I apologize, man. I feel so stupid. You shouldn't have caught me off guard. We're gonna look like idiots, but we don't like our followers, man. Come on, man. Anyway, was it Guillaume Durand?
It's something
like that.
different.
So
That's
sorry.
why it's not. Yeah, I don't know how to say it even
It's
when I look
French,
at
and
it.
I'm not familiar with French,
Yeah.
so we're sorry. Come on,
But we do
appreciate you very
yeah.
much.
So can I just go ahead? Are we cool? Can I say what I'm thankful for?
So yeah, basically in this part, say again, we're very thankful for all of you guys, and you all had great points. And now we're gonna get into what we're thankful for in terms of Star Wars and this podcast in general. So Drew, go ahead.
Yeah. So first, I just want to kind of continue on that. Is like, I am so incredibly thankful for the fans of Jedi Eternal and what you guys have brought to this.
Yeah.
And what has made us continue to go on, and especially to the ones that have been very vocal and supportive and just like every post. Because I'm telling you, seeing your guys' responses and participation in what we do means the world to us. It really does. And that is, I'm so thankful for that. And again, like we said, it's what keeps us going. It's what keeps us doing this.
Absolutely.
Because if we do this and we don't really see any kind of response, like it feels
why do it, you know?
And it feels like we're not really doing it for a purpose. But I also do want to say thank you to all those that we know is listening to us,
but
that never says
saying
anything. And the reason I know that is because the numbers show it. The numbers show a lot of you that have clearly never have said anything, never really interact, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But we are still thankful for you as well.
Yeah.
Because we know you're out there, and every once in a while somebody he'll chip in and say something. And even though they don't normally,
you're like, wait, where did this name come from? But they've been following for a long time, and
right? And we appreciate.
We know you guys are out there, and we appreciate you. Yeah.
And so again, thank you so much. It means the world to us. But as far as Star Wars goes, and why I'm thankful for Star Wars, is it goes back to me as a young child, and Star Wars really started for me as a way to connect with my grandmother, who was a huge Star Wars fan. She had all the Legends novels. She would read all of them. She, of course, had all the movies. She had it in this cool collector's set. She had all the movies at that point. It was before Episode 3 was released.
Yeah.
I remember she had all of them, but it stopped at Attack of the Clones, and there wasn't that third one, right? And it always bothered me. Of course, that did end up coming out, and I watched it with her when it came out.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool to be able to watch all the way up to Episode 3 with my grandmother, who also loves Star Wars, and we shared that love together, and she's kind of what birthed it in me. And so that will always mean the world to me. And now I can also say that, like, I can kind of continue that, spread it on to not only my child, who now loves Star Wars and loves to pretend like she's a Jedi and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But also I get to share it with my dad, who like really gets into the animated shows, and like we have that, and actually me and him watched Episode 3 not that long ago together, and like
nice.
And so for me, like, my love of Star Wars isn't just Star Wars, which I love, and I love being in it, and you know, you and me growing up. Of course, it was so integral to our relationship as as best friends. Like, so much of that time was spent doing something Star Wars. Even now, you know, all these years later, it still is connected to Star Wars. And so I love the universe. I love pretending to any way I can be in that universe is amazing, whether it be in books, movies, games, whatever that platform is. But for me, Star Wars comes down to not just what, like, the story of Star Wars, but the way that it allows me to connect with family and friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the love and passion that I can share with family and friends about something together. And that's what Star Wars is for me, and what it always will be.
Yeah, That's a great answer. Great answer. So anyway, I just really like the fighting.
I really like the blasters. They're really cool.
I like the blasters. No, so I mean, again, everything that you said could obviously apply to me. Everything JB said, everything Alex said, everything Brandon said, but deleted. It all applies to me. So how what can I say that's a little bit different, unique? And for me, and again, I think it's something that you kind of already had mentioned, but I'll just dive deeper into. Star Wars is one of the first things. Now, there's many things, but it was one of the first things that ever made me wonder. So WONDER, like wonder or think. To go beyond what was just first in front of me. Watching Star Wars and reading the books. Believe it or not, I used to when I was younger. Anyway, but reading the books and playing the games and watching the movies and coming in to a little bit later, obviously, but we watched Clone Wars and things of that nature. It was one of the first things that ever made me wonder. It was an integral part of the development of my imagination. And when you and I, Drew, when we would go out, when we would go play, anytime we would go play, we played other things. We played Godzilla, or we played King Kong, but 99 times out of 100,
right,
it was Star Wars. Every time we would go outside. And we would have our little plastic lightsabers with the red button that you have to flick out. And we would beat the tar out of each other for like 10 hours straight. And we would be.
My fingers hurt just thinking about it.
Oh yeah,
all the times you would smack those
we
blades
would
on your
be
fingers.
in Mustafar. We would be in Utapau.
Oh, yeah.
We would be in Coruscant.
Oh yeah, we were there.
Yeah. And so for me, Star Wars is the first thing that ever sparked my imagination and it took me to some place else, and then helped me to take my own self to someplace else. So yeah, the story and how it formed my imagination and formed my thoughts on the creativity was a huge part of me. But of course, and again, and that's what I was also going to say, but you already hit on majoritively, is the connections that Star Wars has given me, and the connections with the community and people. Of course, not to get sappy, but the connection I have with you, right, was greatly strengthened by Star Wars. Yeah. And so moving into why I'm thankful for the podcast, again, not to be sappy, but Drew and I have been best friends, and I dare say even brothers, for our whole life. And
I don't even dare to say that.
I don't even dare. No, I'm just kidding. You know what I'm saying? But dare I say? But we always consider ourselves more like brothers than best friends, because you're just that close. But anyway, it's easy as we get into adulthood to just go off and do our own things, and we still love each other. We still send each other memes every single day and stuff. But
literally every day.
Literally every day. But we can go months. There's been times where we went months with not seeing each other, and we get back together, and it's just like a time has never passed. But anyway, point is if nothing else, this podcast has been awesome. That I get to have every week a reason to get with you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that has been an awesome reason within itself. But to continue on that thought process of community, and again, I'm just harping on what I've already said and what Drew's already hit on, but just to kind of come to the conclusion, for at least for me today, is that what we have formed here, although it's not huge, although it's not like the biggest thing in the whole world, it's close, it's awesome. Just to think, if I could have went back 5 years ago and said we would have a burgeoning podcast about Star Wars, that there would be consistent followers from England,
right?
From all the way from the other side of the country in California, in Canada, and some places in France and stuff like that. There's no way I would have believed you. So, and it's not just, and there's people who actually, if we go to our what's the word I'm looking for? Not statistics, but you know what I'm saying? Anyway, basically where you can see where people listen to you from.
Yeah.
Anyway, it shows people from Brazil. It shows people from,
it's crazy.
It's wild.
It's crazy, the people that from all kinds of different countries that listen to
and
us.
it's not just
they probably don't even understand what we're saying.
They might, or they might even care who we are. They just want to hear about the newest news and they'll turn us off, But the point I'm trying to make is it's not just random people either. But there's people in other countries like JB, like Stuart, like Guillaume, like all these others, who are talking to us, and we know who they are. That other than maybe what they look like, and we see their profile pictures and stuff, right? But we could go to a conference or something, or go to a convention, or we could go to England and we could meet up with JB and we could talk to him and know who he is.
And I hope one day we get
Someday
to do that.
we
one
will
day
do that.
we're gonna all meet up.
Yes.
It's gonna be awesome.
So the whole point and the conclusion of what I'm trying to say is that, guys and gals, I'm so thankful for each and every one. I'm thankful for this podcast. I'm thankful for the experiences that we got to have. Again, has this blown up and got millions of views and listens? No, it hasn't. But I would rather have 10 good listeners that we interact and we have fun and we laugh and we interact than have 10,000 listeners, but we don't know any of them.
Thankfully, we do have more than 10 listeners.
But, yeah, you see what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I know exactly.
But anyway.
Yeah, no, beautifully said. The one last thing I would like to add is I do want to specifically say I'm thankful for The Mandalorian.
Yes.
And the reason for that is The Mandalorian is what kind of birthed this podcast, because it was we had been getting together every week
watching The
Mandalorian. That was kind of something we had decided we wanted to do.
Yep.
And so we started doing that, and we had also and so it was doing that we said, hey, we're getting together, we're really enjoying this show. It's kind of like revived Star Wars to us, and to a degree it hadn't been in for quite a while. Why don't we just go ahead and start a podcast? And that's why another reason why it happened. So
yeah. Well, so and again, what really birthed that is we was coming together every week anyway to watch that, and we was sitting there talking forever.
And we would talk
and then
about
the final cap of it is when Mandalorian ended, season 1 ended. Then we went and watched Rise of Skywalker. And literally for the hour and a half to 2 hour drive home straight, we was talking about lore, or Star Wars, right?
Yeah,
but lore, we was talking about what's next. We was talking about all these different things, and we're like, why don't we just start a podcast? And then,
a
couple weeks later, a month later,
remember, we specifically talked about the future of Star Wars.
Yeah, like where did it go from here?
And as you all see, our very first episode is the future of Star Wars, where we kind of took that initial conversation that started all of this, and we put it into the podcast as our main topic.
Yeah,
and that is, and we will have the future of Star Wars Part 3 in January in just 2 months.
That's crazy, dude.
When we celebrate our 3 years. Or 2 years.
Yeah, it feels like 3 years.
I mean, hey, a lot has happened.
There's a lot happened just in life,
but also just like with the world in general.
Yeah. Anyway, Anyway, we're going to go ahead and come to an end. We've spent a lot of time on this, but hey, especially on this latter half, we really wanted to take some time and have just some sentimental time with everybody.
And what we're thankful for. I mean, it's a time to be thankful.
Reflect.
And a lot of you, when you listen to this, you'll be having Thanksgiving with your families in just, a couple days, maybe even having it on maybe the day you're listening to this or around that time.
Or after or something.
Yeah. And so... And just to let you guys know, we do have a Let's Play that will be
about like 3 weeks from now.
So we have a Let's Play coming up that will there actually surprisingly will not be a break from Jedi Eternal over the holiday. Actually, you guys will have content to watch. So that right after Thanksgiving, you'll have that. You can watch that Let's Play. And we'll be back the next week after that for our podcast.
Yeah.
So there will be no break just yet.
Wow.
So you guys can enjoy that.
We are on top of it.
But I do want to just say really quick, because it's hilarious. So we're filming our Let's Plays. And as most of you know, I think we've talked about before, we do those like ahead of time. So, and we usually do at least 2 in one sitting, 2 episodes in one sitting.
Yeah.
And so we were on our second episode recording it. And I'm like, hope you guys had a happy Thanksgiving. Hope it was really good. All this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And then almost 30 minutes later, towards the end of the episode, Brash is like, wait a second.
This is going to be posted like 4 weeks later.
I was like, you're like, this is going to be way after Thanksgiving.
Weeks after.
It's like, we should have said that on the first half.
So the next episode you guys see, which was the first episode we recorded, we say nothing about Thanksgiving. But in 2 weeks after that, you'll hear us talking about Thanksgiving.
In mid-December, you're going to hear us say Happy Thanksgiving.
So, hey, we're just bringing the holidays to you continually here.
That's good
we
stuff.
love celebration, So, anyway, we thought that'd be funny to mention there, just to clear up that confusion.
Right.
So, anyway, to conclude this, again, I reiterate, we thank everybody so much for the continued support towards our podcast, to our Let's Plays, to because I always say podcast, but now we've become more than that. We've become we still have room to grow, but we've become more than that. We are Jedi Eternal, So thank you for your support towards Jedi Eternal in whatever way that may manifest. And we absolutely look forward to hearing from you. So there are faithful folks, or if there's anybody new out there that would like to reach out, and hey, we talked about all for a long time. We have talked, if you're still here, listening to us, we have talked a long time about all these people that are so special to us. If you want to become those people, we are not discriminating in what way whatsoever. We are mentioning those people because those are the people that interact with us.
Yeah, they're super active. You want to start typing in those comments, and I guarantee you we'll start talking about you.
We will. Well, because we
might also make fun of you sometimes, but it's out of love.
You make fun of us, we make fun of you. That's how it works on here, right?
I mean, Alex Mason, am I right?
I mean, come on. So anyway, we absolutely love you guys. We appreciate you. So we would ask that you please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and even Twitter, believe it or not. It is out there for news and memes, community discussions, and sometimes even polls and more. But please also follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you would, we would be very thankful if you follow us and leave us a good review. It really does help us. But we thank you guys so much for listening, and we ask that you join us next week for episode 11 of our KOTOR Let's Play, and then 2 weeks from now for podcast episode 68.
We're almost through the 60.
So close. But last but not least, may the Force be with you, and we thank you for joining.